Hi everyone. Am I audible? Let me just check. Okay, so I think it is yet to come. Anyway, so the topic for today is the need for respiration. Okay, so let's have a look at like why exactly the respiration is occurring in our body. What is its function? For respiration to occur, what all are required? Okay, and who is supplying these required raw material to the cells? Okay, so we will have a look at that and the types of respiration as well. So let me just check if I'm audible. Okay. Okay, so let's get started. So before that, let me introduce myself. I am Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I'm an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. So you can join with us in Telegram. So for homework and class notes, you can join the channel Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 and the Telegram channel of Unacademy ICSE and ISC boards. So this you will find in the description box. Okay, so you can click on the link and join the channel for updates regarding the classes. Okay, so this is for the updates regarding the classes on YouTube. Okay, so Unacademy free special class features. So we are also taking free special classes, like special classes we call them, and these are absolutely free, where you can have live real-time interaction using the chat and emojis. Okay, so also this is basically, if let's say if a discussion session is going on, so you want to interact with the learners and interact with the educators, then there are these options which are available. So since lot of questions keep coming, okay, or comments keep coming, so your question might get lost, so there is a separate question tab for specifically meant for questions itself, where you can type in your question or attach an image and send it to the educator during a live class itself. The educator will be getting a notification that the learner has asked and they'll be clearing your doubts. Okay, also we conduct a quiz, so there you have a option. Okay, so like all the other types of quizzes are conducted, so here you will get a poll, so you can choose between the options. The question and the option will be there on the slide, okay, on the screen. Then you will get the options to go for any of the answers. So after you are answering, so we will be sharing the leaderboard as well. So in leaderboard, so you can know your rank, like first rank, second rank, third rank, so up to 10 ranks you can know in here. Okay, so that you can compete with your friends. So Unacademy, so till now what I explained, so that was of free classes, and these are the plus classes. Okay, so you need to take the subscription for these classes. So in order to attend these type of classes, so one requires a subscription, so that is learn live from the comfort of your home, unlimited access to all the courses. So different educators are running different courses, so each and individual chapters will be there, so you will have access to all those courses. Top educators of India are going to take the class in one platform, so that is Unacademy platform. Okay, so regular doubt clearing session, so after about every 3 sessions, so one session we are conducting, and the fourth session is basically a doubt clearing session. So whatever doubts you have related to the topics that are previously covered, so you can clear your doubts in this particular session. Okay, and also let's say you do not have any doubt, so we can conduct a quiz or maybe revision can be done about the last 3 classes itself. Then complete coverage of a syllabus is done, mentorship and guidance is given, study material in the PDF form is given, the practice tests are given, live test series, batch courses. So you will have access to all of this, along with the daily practice session, the weekly mock test series, live quizzes, daily MCQ and subjective test series. Okay, so if you are planning on a subscription, so this is a plus subscription for class 9 learners. So you can try like how exactly this works. So you can try with 6 months of subscription, okay, or 9 months. So if you are planning to complete your class 10, so you can go for 12 months of subscription as well, okay. And so let's say you're planning to complete more months, so maybe you can go for like a class 11 and 12, so you can go for any of these months based on your convenience, okay. And you can see that as you are going for upper higher months of subscription, the cost is getting reduced. So plan well and you can go for the subscription. And this is my referral code Vani YT, okay. So with this referral code, so you are getting 10% off on the subscription, okay. So Vani YT is the referral code, so where you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription. And then there is mega offer for plus subscribers. So let's say you are buying 12 months or more, okay. So let's say you are buying 12 months of subscription, so basically extra 2 months you are getting. That means you will be having 14 months of subscription, okay. And on top of it you are getting flat 10% discount with the referral code Vani YT, okay. So this is my referral code, okay. So get in touch with your counselor. So you have any doubt, okay, related to the preparation journey, or having queries about the subscription, or want to know about the latest offer, so you are just one call away. So you can call on this number and use the code Vani YT, because with this referral code, if you are going for a subscription, so you will be getting 10% discount. Okay, so let's have a look at the topics that I'll be covering today. Is the about the respiration. So in that introduction, the need for respiration, why animals need more energy, and the type of respiration. So shall we start? Yes. All right. Okay. So here respiration, breathing mechanism is different, respiration is different, okay. So my voice, yeah, I wanted to say about this. So voice is getting, it is because of cold maybe. So it will take time to get back to normal, but until then this is the voice, okay. So to do adjust with this. So respiration is the process of using oxygen to metabolize, okay. So here in this case now, the oxygen is always combining, okay. So oxygen is required, and it will always, the glucose itself is getting oxidized, okay. So glucose will combine with the oxygen to produce energy, okay. So there is a energy production which we can see. And this energy, when we are talking, so it is not just the energy, excuse me. Okay. So respiration is the process of using oxygen to metabolize and oxidize glucose to produce energy, okay. So it is not just the energy which is produced, so there are waste products that are also produced. So there is carbon dioxide, and then there is water which is produced, okay. So now here the process involves the intake of oxygen. So now that you are breathing, okay, so you are performing this breathing action, where do you think this oxygen, so mainly our body requires oxygen, so where do you think this oxygen is going? It is getting to the cell. The tissues require the oxygen. And why? That is because this oxygen will combine with the glucose to form energy. And from where the glucose is coming? We are getting the glucose from the digestive system. That means after the breakdown of carbohydrate occurs, so we are getting a simple compound, so that is the glucose. So this glucose is gonna get oxidized, and there is a energy release. So you know that it is a ATP, energy currency, okay. So ATP is produced. So process involves the intake of oxygen, that is breathing mechanism, which inhales, okay. So basically which involves the inhalation process, okay. And and here, and the release of carbon dioxide from this particular, so release is basically a exhalation process. Okay, so there is inhalation and exhalation which are occurring of carbon dioxide from this catabolic reaction. Okay, so basically the oxygen is going, okay, so carbon dioxide also is removed out, so that is a breathing mechanism. So respiration breaks organic molecules to release energy in their bond. So this is basically the oxidation of glucose releasing the energy ATP. So all organisms show this exchange of gases. So everybody is getting energy, right? So how do you think that they are all getting energy? Like every living organism is getting energy for performing action, and this is happening mainly because supply of oxygen is there, and this oxygen is basically oxidizing the glucose, and then energy synthesis. So we are all able to walk, run, to perform lot of activities. So this is all because of the availability of the energy. So all organisms showing, so all of the organisms will respire. There are some, okay, so there are some organisms which do not require oxygen, so those we call as anaerobic. Okay, so all organisms show this exchange of gases, so that is through various respiratory organs. So those are aerobic organism. Okay, so the ones which require oxygen, and the ones which do not require oxygen, so that we call as a anaerobic respiration. So in higher organism, this intake and release of gases occurs through a mechanism called as a breathing. So basically inhalation, what we see, so that is again a inhalation or exhalation when we mention. So it is a breathing, it is a mechanical process. So need for the respiration, so let's have a look at need for respiration. So why exactly the energy is required, why exactly not the energy, respiration is required. Okay, so respiration is a chemical process, so keep in mind it is not just the inside breathing mechanism. It is a chemical process of releasing energy by breakdown of a glucose. Okay, so what is happening here, so metabolic reactions when we mention, okay, so metabolism when we mention, so there are two types. There is anabolism, okay, and then there is catabolism. Okay, so catabolism is basically, so this one is catabolism. Okay, so catabolism when we mention, so this is a destructive reaction. Okay, that means destructive reaction is basically construction is not occurring, so breakdown of a product is occurring. Okay, so breakdown of a compound is occurring. So now what is breaking down, it is a chemical process of releasing energy by breaking down the glucose. So here the glucose is getting broken down. Okay, so you can see here, yeah, so carbon dioxide to form a catabolic reaction, so it is the same thing. Okay, so breakdown reaction is occurring. Now when we mention anabolism, anabolism is a constructive reaction. Okay, so constructive reaction is basically in our body, if we have to say, so I'll take the same example. Okay, so that is building up of certain things, so building up. Okay, or here in this case now the meaning is, so glucose is broken down to form a energy. Okay, so this is the example where we can see. Okay, so this is an example now. So for this one, the construction anabolism is occurring, so many amino acids will join together. Okay, and what is happening, so there is a protein formation. Many of the glucose units will join together, glycogen storage is done. So now this one is a construction, and here the breakdown was occurring, that is why anabolism is there. Okay, so now with respect to that, the chemical breakdown occurs utilizing the oxygen. So you can see this one is a glucose, 6 molecules of oxygen are required, 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, and 6 molecules of water, along with the energy is released. So there are 5 important points Okay, so there are 5 important points to remember about this chemical reaction in respiration. So the part of respiration yielding energy occurs inside the living cells, and it is known as a cellular or tissue respiration. So you can see here, as breathing mechanism occurs, so breathing in, okay, so breathing in has occurred. All right, so in that case, what is happening now? The oxygen is taken into the blood. Okay, so oxygen is taken into blood, because through the alveolus the capillary is going to absorb this oxygen. Now the same oxygen is given to the tissues, okay, or to the cells, okay, and then what will happen? So in cell there is a organelle called as a mitochondria, okay, and this mitochondria is going to take up that oxygen, and from digestive system it has got the glucose also. So when the combination, that means when the glucose oxidation is occurring, so it will lead to energy synthesis. ATP is being generated over here. Okay, so here the 5 important points. So this one, the one which is going to the tissues or cell, so this part we call as a cellular or tissue respiration. Okay, so this is cellular or tissue respiration also we can call this one. Okay, so other than that, there is breakdown of a glucose. Okay, so glucose is getting broken down to carbon dioxide and water. Okay, so what is happening? Glucose is broken down into, it breaks down into carbon dioxide and water, and does not occur in a single step. So this is not just a single step, but a series of chemical steps are there. Okay, so here for the formation, so we were discussing, so this carbon dioxide formation and water formation, so both of these do what are there? So here these are produced from the oxidation of a glucose itself. Okay, so now with respect to that, the breakdown step is due to a particular enzyme. So here enzyme is required. Okay, so only when an enzyme is present. Okay, so this is in presence of enzyme. Okay, so in presence of enzyme there is a synthesis of ATP that we can see. Okay, so for breakdown step is due to the particular enzyme, then energy liberated in the breakdown of the glucose. Okay, so you know that the energy is liberated, okay, so in the breakdown of a glucose molecule. Okay, so this is not all in the form of a heat, so I'll just explain you this. Okay, so what happens when this one, the glucose combines with the oxygen? Okay, so it is actually produced is carbon dioxide, water, and there is huge amount of heat. Okay, so heat or kilocalories, like 6000 or kilocalories, 686 sorry. Okay, so 686 kilocalories of the energy is released, so it is a heat energy. Okay, and this heat energy has to be converted into a chemical energy after this step. Okay, so chemical energy is what? Chemical energy is actually ATP. So ATP is being generated there. Okay, so next to that, so now the energy liberated in the breakdown of the glucose molecule is not all in the form of a heat itself, because a large part of it is converted into chemical energy in the form of a ATP. So this chemical substance is called as a adenosine triphosphate. So essential steps of cellular respiration are same in plants and animals. Okay, so this is with respect to essential steps of cellular respiration, which are same. Okay, so these steps are going to be same in case of plants as well as animals. So why do we need energy? Synthesis of protein from amino acid. Okay, so now many amino acids you have consumed. Okay, and we need to form a different type of protein now. So depending on different types of amino amino acids are there. So there is leucine, valine, glycine, tryptophan, histidine. So different types of amino acids are there, and based on their chain itself we are going to name them individually, like separate names are given for a protein. Okay, so now for protein synthesis energy is required. For enzyme synthesis again there is an energy requirement. Contraction of muscles for the movement, so movement is occurring because again there is energy which is required. Then contraction of electrical impulse in a nerve cell, so for this again energy is required. So everywhere the energy is required. Okay, and without the energy one cannot perform his function or her function perfectly. Okay, because there has to be, so if the individual is weak, okay, so what is going to happen, so they cannot perform their task. All right, so then conduction, okay, so this is done. Production of new cells, for cell division alone, if for one cell alone, so nearly 30 to 40 ATP required, like for one cell. Okay, so those many amount of ATPs are required. So that is why it is very important to form a energy by taking a proper diet. So in keeping the body warm, that is warm blooded animals like birds and mammals, so this energy is used up, that is the heat energy is there which can be converted into ATP. Then ATP is going to help in the movement, so basically movement which occurs across. So in all those cases the body is kept warmer by producing more of a once again by producing more of a energy, or a heat release will be there, so that the body can be kept warm. Just a second. Okay, so other than that the animals need more energy, so the need for production of energy is greater in animals than in plants. Okay, so this is with respect to the need for production of energy. So why is there a requirement of energy for all this? So we saw this one, why there is a requirement. And now with respect to plants, if we are comparing, okay, so the need for reproduction of energy, okay, so this is greater in animals than in plants. Okay, so in case of animals more energy is required, so this is because animals consume more energy in doing physical work, because there is a movement which is occurring. So plants will remain at one place. Now if we are to talk about the animals, okay, so animals have to walk around, so they'll have to move around to take the food, or maybe to escape from the predators. Okay, so they have to move about for obtaining the food, or run away to escape the enemies. So there is again more energy required for all these activities. Then chew their food. Okay, so for chewing their food, the plants if we are talking, so they do not requirement, I mean they do not require any chewing or anything. So basically their body itself is synthesizing the glucose. Okay, so and that is distributed to every cell, so there is no requirement of eating a food. But in case of animals, so they have to chew their food and have to look after their eggs or young ones. Okay, so to look after their young ones, or to look after the egg, so more energy drainage will be done. So that is why more energy is required in case of animals as compared to plants. Now again in case of animals itself, the birds and mammals require more energy. So why do you think that this is the case? Why birds and mammals require more energy than any other? This is because the birds and mammals are warm blooded animals. Okay, and the meaning of this one is, so okay, warm blooded animals it is. Okay, so that is because, as you know, all right, one second. Yeah, so these are warm blooded animals because, as you know, that there is actually the warm blooded, when we mention the temperature of the surrounding does not matter. So body temperature is gonna remain the same irrespective of the surrounding temperature. So in this case what will happen, so body will try to keep your, like your body will try to keep your body warmer irrespective of the surrounding temperature. So even if the surrounding temperature is cold, you need to maintain a specific body temperature. So that is homeothermal, so always the same temperature has to be maintained in case of birds and mammals. But this is not the case with respect to other, like pisces, or it can be with respect to the reptiles, then other amphibians. So they are cold blooded, that means their body temperature will change according to the surrounding temperature. So the birds and mammals, including ourselves, so they have to produce lot of heat for keeping the body warm. Okay, so this heat comes through respiration in the cells. The amount of heat to keep the body warm is quite large. Okay, so now here the amount of heat which is required, one second, yeah, to keep the body warm is quite large. So think about the cold winter days when the outside temperature is far below our body temperature. Okay, so in that case we are constantly losing a weight. So what keeps happening? So if you have seen this action, the shivering or clattering of teeth, okay, the one when one feels too cold, so this is an emergency activity of the muscle cells to produce extra heat. So they'll try to produce extra heat by shivering, by clattering of teeth, so that when movement is occurring, again there is a heat production. Okay, so we are constantly losing weight to the outside air. More of it has to be continuously produced to make up the loss. So liver cells in particular, okay, so they produce much heat and the muscles also contribute to it. So now the energy used in all the cellular activities, so this is obtained from the glucose, that is the carbohydrate. Okay, so how exactly we are getting oxygen? What is that? No, so this oxygen does not combine with any other product. So it does not combine with amino acids. So amino acid is not required, fatty acid is not required, glycerol is not required for oxygen. It always requires a glucose. Okay, so glucose itself is getting oxidized because oxygen will combine only with the glucose, not with any of them, to produce the energy. Okay, so that is to produce energy. So ultimate source of energy, it has to be glucose only. There are no other products which are going to help us in formation of energy. So glucose has no alternative for respiration. So what is the meaning of that? So that means glucose itself has to be there. So if there is amino acid, it is not going to work. So let's say even if amino acid is there but glucose is not available, so this amino acid will be converted into glucose. Okay, or a fatty acid is there, so that has to be converted into glucose. Or let's say glycerol is there, so this has to be converted into glucose, and only the glucose will then combine with the oxygen to produce the energy. So there is no alternative for a respiration with respect to glucose. Okay, so if the simple carbohydrate glucose is not available directly, okay, so let's say when the glucose is not available, the cells will break down the proteins or fats. So they'll break down the protein. So now this protein is amino acids. So proteins are made of amino acids or fats. So fats, when we mention, so they are having a fatty acid and a glycerol. Okay, so this will be there, and these things what are there, so these things need to be converted into glucose and then the oxygen. So oxygen is very stubborn that I don't want anything other than a glucose. I want only glucose, and only with the glucose I'm going to produce the energy. If you are giving me amino acid, if you are giving me fatty acid or a glycerol, I am not going to take that up. So that is how the oxygen is there. So in that case, what is happening? So glucose will combine with the oxygen. That means oxidation of glucose will occur to produce a ATP. Okay, so think for a while. About the wild animals which are flesh eaters. That means their diet is protein rich. Okay, a very less carbohydrate is available, so they are taking a protein rich food, so very less amount of carbohydrate is available. So excess amino acids, so whatever, so whenever more amount of amino acids are there, so these amino acids are taken through the protein digestion, and then these are taken to the liver. So these are broken down in the liver. Okay, so now what is happening? Excess amino acid absorbed through the protein. Okay, so that is basically digestion is gonna occur, all right, and after that the liver will produce a sugar. Okay, so this is basically glucose production will occur, and that will occur in the liver itself, because I'll explain this. So let's say this one is a amino acid now. So there is a COOH group, then there is amine group, then hydrogen group, and then a variable group is there. Okay. So in all these cases, what would be the condition here? So this amine group is removed, and this part what you find. So this will go for the formation of a organic acid. Okay, or a glucose formation can also occur with this one, that is after the removal of the NH2. Okay, so here again, now the excess of these what are there, so these are absorbed, it are sent to the liver to produce a glucose. So from amino acid itself glucose production will occur. So nitrogenous part is converted into urea. So this part what is there, so this will become urea, and this part will become glucose, and this glucose itself will combine with the oxygen to produce the energy, that is ATP. Okay, so other than that, the glucose thus produced may be used immediately or may get stored in the liver as well as glycogen for future use. Now this glucose which is produced, so all the protein that you are consuming, okay, so it not be completely wastage itself. So now in that case, so this one, once the glucose formation occurs, so glucose, so this whole structure what you see, so this is amino acid. Okay, so this glucose what we find, okay, so glucose will actually combine with the oxygen. Okay, and then there will be, so okay, so this is with respect to, I'll just tell you one thing before this, like how exactly the, one second. So before I go with the cellular respiration, so I'll tell you. So now when you are consuming more amount of protein, so that amino acid which is there, okay, so that will be converted into glucose, and glucose can be stored. We cannot store the protein. So now this amine group part what is there, so this is going to form the urea, and this is the one which is going to convert itself into glucose. So as such many units of glucose are combined, and formation of a glycogen will be done, and this will be done in the liver itself. Okay, so let's have a look here. So types of respiration, so there are two types are there: respiration, aerobic and anaerobic. Just a second, and let me just check this. Okay, chat is not visible. Okay, so there is aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. So this is in presence of oxygen, and in absence of oxygen, this is for anaerobic respiration. So there are two types of respiration. So in presence of oxygen what happens? So aerobic respiration, when we mention, for respiration to occur it requires oxygen, that is aerobe now. Okay, and when we mention anaerobic respiration, so this is in absence of oxygen. Okay, so that is anaerobes. Okay, so anaerobes means they do not require oxygen for their survival, but this one requires oxygen. So if one without the oxygen they are surviving, but in that case less ATP production will occur. Here more ATP production we can see in case of aerobic respiration. So here it is about 36 ATPs are produced. Okay, so overall 38 ATP, and since the gross we can say 36 it is, and here 2 ATPs are only produced. Okay, so that is why aerobic respiration is more efficient. It uses the oxygen also, Anaerobic respiration, there is no requirement of oxygen, and ATP produced also is very less. So two kinds of respiration are there. So there is aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Okay, so one thing is with respect to the one which we discussed, the one which requires oxygen. Okay, so that is aerobic, the absence is anaerobic. So anaerobic respiration, so it will occur in our own body. So where do you think this occurs? So when you are running fast, okay, so when you are running fast, okay, and you are not respiring much, so like heavy breathing you will find, right? So that is because enough amount of oxygen supply is not done. Okay, so very less oxygen availability will be there when you are running or when you are performing a hyperactivity availability. Okay, so a very less amount of oxygen will be available, or sometimes it is very like we can say absent itself. So in those cases, the muscles, okay, so since they are running, like since they are the ones which are used for running or any hyperactivities, so since they are not getting oxygen, okay, because you are running fast, you are not taking enough amount of oxygen and the supply is not done immediately. So in all those cases, these muscle cells will undergo anaerobic respiration. Okay, so anaerobic respiration is basically the same glucose is broken down into lactic acid. Okay, so lactic acid formation will occur, that is without the oxygen, and this lactic acid, okay, so you can see here, so the product of anaerobic respiration in such muscles is lactic acid. So accumulation of these lactic acid. So lactic acid is going to accumulate in the muscles only. Okay. So when it accumulates in the muscles, so there is this one is a toxic one. Okay. The compound can be toxic one, as it can make the muscle cells feel tired, fatigue. Okay, so that is the one, they'll get tired, and also the feeling of fatigue will be there, that is getting tired. And whenever the oxygen supply is done, okay, so now you have taken a rest, so the same lactic acid which was produced, okay, so this lactic acid is now going to get a oxygen, and then again there is a ATP synthesis which we can see. Okay, so this is in absence of oxygen, anaerobic respiration will occur. So now during continuous physical exercise such as fast running, walking over a long distance, swimming, wrestling, and weight lifting, so etc., so our muscles are working too fast but they are not getting enough oxygen. So in this situation, the muscles are working in the absence of oxygen, so that is the product is lactic acid. So accumulation of lactic acid is going to give the feeling of tiredness. So this is a condition which may be called as a oxygen debt. Okay, so when you rest after such exercise, the lactic acid gets slowly oxidized by the oxygen. So now when you get oxygen, so after you are resting, so this oxygen will combine. Okay, so lactic acid is getting oxidized by the oxygen itself, and then the depth, that is oxygen depth, is cleared. Okay, and based on that the carbon dioxide will start, it will be synthesized. Yes, any doubt? Okay, so chemical steps in respiration. So there are two steps which we can discuss. So aerobic respiration. Okay, so you can see here when the presence of oxygen is there. Okay, so for this oxygen is required, so that is why we call it as a aerobic one. Okay, so this is same as the one. So in animals also it is the same, and in case of plants also the aerobic respiration is the same. Okay, so the overall chemical representation of the equation, that is respiration, is the glucose combines with the oxygen to produce a carbon dioxide, a water, and you need to observe here, so this one is actually a heat energy which is produced. Okay, so that is 186 kilocalories per mole of energy is produced. So now in this above equation, okay, so depicts the chemical substances in mole. Okay, so now thus by taking 180 gram of glucose, okay, so they are trying to experiment with what exactly happens. So 180 gram of glucose is taken. Okay, so one second. And this energy released is 686 kilocalories, or if expressed in kilojoules, so this the energy released is about 2890. Okay, so this is the energy that is released from this amount of a glucose. So in the above equation, so we can represent the energy in the form of ATP as below. So you can see here, so for 7 calories, okay, 1 ATP if we want to form. Okay, so you can see this part is same, this part is same. Okay, and enzyme has been added here, all right, because this was actually the overall reaction which they are mentioning. So this is the carbon dioxide that is produced. So 6 carbon dioxides are produced, 6 water molecules are produced. Then 686 kilocalorie mole per energy is there, right, per mole energy. So this one, out of which not all the heat energy is used for the ATP synthesis, only a slighter amount of it will be used for the ATP synthesis. So now 420 kilocalories of heat energy is there, and 38 chemical energies are also there. So now 1 mole of ATP requires, okay, so now when we mention about the mole of ATP, so 1 to form 1 ATP, okay, so to form 1 ATP, so 7 kilocalories of heat energy is required. So 38 ATP means, so it is 38 into 7, that is 266 kilocalories of energy was required. Rest of the energy is there itself, that is 420 which is mentioned here. So this energy is here itself, but for formation of 38 ATP, okay, so 266 kilocalories of the heat energy is required, so that chemical energy formation can occur. Okay, so anaerobic respiration. So in animal cells, that is particularly the skeletal muscle cells, anaerobic respiration occurs. So this we already discussed with respect to the anaerobic respiration in case of the mammals, that is mainly the humans. Okay, so they have to work very fast with insufficient oxygen. So now this overall chemical reaction in anaerobic respiration. Okay, so this is basically glucose is there. Okay, then glucose is forming a lactic acid here. Okay, so this is anaerobic, 2 ATPs are produced, and there is a little amount of heat energy. So special point to note in the above chemical reaction is anaerobic respiration in animals are as follows. So let's have a look at this one. So anaerobic respiration, so this is for anaerobic respiration. Okay, yeah, so this is a slow process. Okay, and the reaction cannot continue for a long time, so because if the oxygen is there, so anyway this lactic acid is again getting oxidized and energy formation will occur. Okay, so this lactic acid is having a toxic effect on the cell, which causes muscle fatigue and aches. Okay, so muscle pain or the tiredness. Okay, so what you feel, so that is mainly because of oxygen, insufficient supply of oxygen. So there is no carbon dioxide released here in case of anaerobic. Then total energy released per mole of glucose is much less than compared to the aerobic one. So there it is 38 ATP, and here it can be 2 ATP. So this is for anaerobic. Okay, and the other one is aerobic. Okay, so this is aerobic. So basic steps in cellular respiration are same. Okay, so in case of plants and animals, just a second. Yeah, so these are same in case of plants and animals. However, the anaerobic respiration is different in two, okay, in the two, that is in some aspects, okay. So some respects we will have a look at this one. So difference in aerobic respiration in plants and animals. So this is with respect to plants and this is with respect to animals, okay. So products of glucose produce ethanol and carbon dioxide. Here the product of glucose is lactic acid, okay. So lactic acid is there but there is no carbon dioxide. Then released heat energy is more in case of plant as compared to the animal. So in case of very less heat energy is produced, but in case of plants more heat energy is produced. So carbon dioxide release causes foaming, okay. So it will cause foaming, that is the carbon dioxide which is released from this part, okay. So that will cause foaming, and here no carbon dioxide is released, so there is no foaming. So as you can see that in case of plant the carbon dioxide is there, so that we can find a foaming in there, and here there is no carbon dioxide role at all, that is with respect to anaerobic respiration. If it is occurring because of the lactic acid, then in that case so there is no carbon dioxide which is formed or released, so there is no foaming, okay. Yeah, so we are done with today's thing. So any doubts you have? All right, one second. Okay, so energy used, yeah, so energy used for all the cellular activity is obtained by the oxidation of glucose. Yes, is this right? So energy used for all the cellular activity, you know, most of the activities, so it can be with respect to cellular or the body activities also. So all the activities require energy, okay. And you know how the energy is produced? This is because oxidation of glucose is occurring. So it is always a glucose which has to combine with the oxygen. So there is no alternative for a glucose. So if amino acid is there, so it cannot combine. If a fatty acid is there, it is not going to combine. So basically amino acid has to be converted into glucose, the fatty acid has to be converted into glucose, then only there is energy production which we can see, okay. So then only oxidation of a glucose will occur. So this one is true. Moving on to next one. If glucose is not available, dash can be broken down to produce glucose for respiration. So proteins, fats, polysaccharides and all of the above, okay. So here just now I was discussing, so there is no alternative for glucose. If glucose is not there, so this has to convert to glucose. If this is not available, it has to convert to glucose, this has to convert to glucose. Only after that the glucose oxidation will occur, okay. So moving on to next question. Accumulation of lactic acid in the muscle, so does it lead to fatigue? Okay, that is getting tired. Yes, okay. So lactic acid is somewhat toxic, so this can make your, you know, wherever it is accumulating, so there can be a slighter pain will be there and one would get tired easily because of the presence of lactic acid. So it is true, okay. So 1 mole of ATP can be produced by consuming dash kilocal, okay. So 2, 10, 7 and 12, so it is this 7, okay. So 1 mole of ATP, so we can produce 1 ATP, okay, using the 7 kilocalories of heat, okay. So basically heat to chemical energy is done there, okay. Yes, before I end this session, one second, yeah. So before I end the session, so let me just say about this. So any doubts you have, you can ask, okay. So but anyway, the chat is not available, so you can hear in my this thing. So maybe it is a fault of my phone or something, I'm not so sure about that. So what you can do, you can get in touch using the Unacademy app. So all you need to do is download the Unacademy Learners app and you can follow me there. So there is a option available where you can connect with the educator. Okay, so that can be done. Yeah, before this one, so there are ongoing batches which are going on. Okay, so this is started from 1st of Feb itself, and if you are planning to take a plus subscription, so you have an option to watch the recordings here. Okay, so you can watch the recordings of already the classes which are done. Okay, and the some classes which are yet to be done, so live classes you can attend. And March we are coming with a new batch, so you will have access to that batch also. So in March we are coming with a new batch, so that again portion completion will be done in that as well. Okay, so now the Sudan batch is all subject batch, the champions batch is also all subject batch. The difference is the mode of delivery is Hindi here, mode of delivery is English here. Okay, so you will have access to these batches and courses only if you have a subscription. And you get one more chance, that is Unacademy Prodigy is extended on Feb 27. So you can win prizes worth rupees 10 crores. So this one is a aptitude test. Okay, so you can take up this test. Okay, so it takes is 60 minutes of your time. So there is a chance that you can win a scholarship, college grant. So different slabs are there for a scholarship, so based on your ranking, so there is a chance you can win all of this. And other than that, for winners, so there is iPhone, MacBook Air, Amazon Echo Dot, and other than that there are Amazon watches also that you are going to get. So you will have all of that chance. So the timing is 12 to 1 p.m. and you can enroll now itself. So all you need to do is download the Unacademy Learners app again. So there you can find this. Okay, and it will ask you a unlock code. So you can use my referral code VANIYT to unlock this Prodigy and take up the test. Also we have started with this analysis. Okay, so that is the test series and analysis. So 60 minutes duration of the test is 60 minutes. Number of questions will be 30. Okay, so here again it is like a practice for you all, as all the important topics will be covered, all the questions from important topics. Okay, so those are taken and it is given for you as a practice, so you can take up these tests. So these are going to help you crack your final. So every Saturday and Sunday these are conducted. Then one short revision we are conducting. So today, since I took a Need For Respiration here, so tomorrow's session at 4 p.m. on Unacademy platform. Okay, so you can attend my session that is on respiratory organs. Okay, so I'll be continuing this next part, which is this. So I'll be continuing respiratory organs tomorrow, that is 22nd. Okay, so it is not 23rd, 22nd at 4 p.m. I'm taking the respiratory organ. So you can attend that session. So it is a one short revision where I'll be discussing about all the different features which are there, like windpipe and how exactly the arrangement is done, and where the cartilaginous support is there, and what are the different lobes that are there in a lung, and other membranous covering and all I'm going to discuss in this particular session. Okay, so you can take up the session at 4 p.m. tomorrow at Unacademy app. Okay, so that is how you can watch my special class. So I was informing about the special classes itself. So you can download the Unacademy Learner app. Okay, so open the app and click on get started. Okay, so once you do that, you can enter your mobile number and the OTP. So you can enter your details, so you can sign up your using your email ID as well. Okay, so then there are two sections that are available. So there is a competitive exam section and the select class 6 to 12. Okay, so go for this one as it will cover the class 6 to 12. Okay, after that you need to select the category. This is your category ICSE. So since you are in ICSE class 9 10, so you can go on adding a goal also there. Okay, so basically you'll be selecting ICSE, so that will also be available. Okay, then there is a language preference which you can go for. So English, Hindi or Hinglish. Okay, so any of these you can choose. So based on that it will show you your preference. So which language language would you prefer to learn? So you can go for any of these, okay, and then press on next. So go to the description of this video and click on the special class link. Then once you go there, so you can click on notify me, so you will get notified 10 minutes before the class begins, okay. So you can also use my code, that is VaniYT, to unlock the special classes for free, okay. So this is VaniYT. So get in touch with your counselor. So confused about the preparation journey, or if you are having queries about the subscription, or want to know about the latest offer, so for all of this you can just call on this number. So it is 85 only, okay. So all 8585. So you can use my referral code VaniYT, okay. So if you are going for a subscription, so with that you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription, okay. Yeah, so download the Unacademy app now and try all of these features for free. So you can use this code for the discount. You can use this code to unlock the free products that are available on the Unacademy as well. So subscribe to our channel. So subscribe on Unacademy ICSE and ISC boards, and download the Unacademy Learners app and start learning. So let's crack it. So see you all in the next session. So next session anyway I'll continue, I'll take on YouTube as well, but tomorrow I'm having a special class, so you can attend that session. So it is a continuation of this session itself. So need of respiration I discussed here, need for respiration, okay. So the tomorrow's 4 p.m. session, so I'll be discussing about the respiratory organs, so you can take up that session as well, okay. So see you all. Thank you so much. Bye bye everyone, take care.